Hello, everybody, and welcome to chapter 31 of the book of Bereishit as we continue to travel through Tanach. Chapter 31 is a long chapter with 54 verses, and it starts in the Koren Sachs Chumash on page 204 and 205. This chapter picks up the story with Yaakov's decision to finally flee from Lavan after many years in his household working for him. Yaakov senses the growing hostility and recognizing that it is time to leave, so Hashem instructs him to return to his homeland. Yaakov departs secretly with his family and possessions, while Rachel, unbeknown to Yaakov, takes her father's household idols. Lavan pursues them, but Hashem warns him in a dream not to harm Yaakov, and when they meet, Yaakov confronts Lavan over years of exploitation and deceit, while Lavan accuses Yaakov of theft. After searching for the idols only to not find them, they establish a covenant marked by a stone monument and agree to mutual boundaries. At the end of the chapter, Lavan returns home and Yaakov continues on his journey. With that in mind, let us turn to chapter 31, verse 1. Vayishma es divrei v'nei Lavan lemor. Yaakov heard the sons of Lavan saying, Lakach Yaakov es kol asher la'avinu. Yaakov has taken everything our father owned. Ume'asher la'avinu asa es kol hakavod hazeh. And from that which belonged to our father, he has amassed all his wealth. Verse 2, Vayar Yaakov es pnei Lavan. Yaakov saw Lavan's face. V'hinei einenu imo kismo shilshom. And he saw that Lavan's manner towards him was not what it had been. Verse 3, Vayomer Adonai el Yaakov, and Hashem said to Yaakov, Shuv el eretz avosecha ulumalatetecha. Go back to the land of your fathers where you were born, ve'ehyeh imach, and I will be with you. Verse 4, Vayishlach Yaakov, Vaikran Rachel u'Leah. So Yaakov sent word to Rachel and Leah, Hasadeh el Sonot, to come out to the field where his flock was. Verse 5, Vayomer lahen, and he said to them, Ro'eh anochi es panei avichem, ki einenu elai kismo shoshon. I see that your father's manner towards me is not what it used to be. Ve'elohei avi haya imadi. The God of my father has been with me. Verse 6, Va'atena yidaten. Now you have known, ki b'chol kochi avadati es avichem. But with all my might I have served your father. Verse 7, Va'avichen heisel bi. Yet your father cheated me. V'hechalifes maskruti aseres monim, changing my wages 10 times. And some interpret this as 100 times. V'lo nasamna Elohim laharai madi, but Hashem has not let him harm me. Verse 8, In kol yomar, if he said, Nekudim yihi esacharecha, that the speckled animals shall be your wages, v'yaldu chol atzon nekudim, and all the flock would give birth to speckled young, Vin koyomar, and if he would say, Akudim yihi esacharecha, the street animals shall be your wages, Vialdu cholatzon akudim, then all the flock would give birth to streaked young. Verse 9, Vayatzel Elohim es miknei avichem vayiten li. Hashem has taken your father's livestock, or has saved your father's livestock, and given it to me. Verse 10, Vayihi ba'es yachem hadson. Once during the breeding season, Va'esa enai, va'ere b'chalom, I had a dream. V'hinei ha'atudim ha'olim al atzon, akudim nekudim uvrudim. I saw that the rams mounting the flock were streaked, speckled, or spotted. Verse 11, Vayomer Elai malacha Elohim, and an angel of Hashem spoke to me, b'chalom, in the dream, Yaakov, said, Yaakov, va'omar hineni, and I said, here I am. Verse 12, Vayomer, he said, Samna inecha, lift up your eyes, Urei kol ha'atudim ha'olim al atzon, akudim nekudim evudim. See that all the rams mounting the flock are streaked, speckled, or spotted. Ki ra'isi es kol asher Lavan oseh lach, for I have seen all that Lavan is doing to you. Verse 13, Anochi ha'el beis el, I am the God of Beis El, Asher moshachta sham matzeva, where you anointed pillar, a monument, Asher nodarta li sham neder, and you made a vow to me there. Ata, now, kum, get up, say min haaretz hazos, go out from this land, v'shuv el eretz moladatecha, and return to the land where you were born. Verse 14, Vatan Rachel v'Leah, v'tomarna lo. Rachel and Leah answered him, Ha'od lanu chelik v'nachala b'veis avinu. Do we still have a share in the inheritance of our father's estate? Verse 15, Halon nochrios nechshavnu lo ki mecharanu. He treats us like strangers. He has sold us. Vayachal gamachol es kaspenu. He has spent all the money. Verse 16, Ki chol ha'osher asher hitzil Elohim me'avinu, lanu hu levanenu. All the wealth that Hashem has taken from our father belongs to us and our children. Va'ata, and now, kol asher amar Elohim elecha aseh. So do whatever Hashem has told you. Verse 17, Vayakam Yaakov. So Yaakov rose, Vayisa es banav, ves nashav ala gmalim. And he put his children and his wives on the camels. Verse 18, Vayinhag es kol miknehu. He led away all his livestock, ves kol rechusho asher rachash, and all the wealth which he had amassed. Miknei kinyano, his purchased property, asher rachash befadan Aram, which he had amassed in Padan Aram. Lavo el Yitzchak aviv artsa Canaan, to go to his father Yitzchak to the land of Canaan. Verse 19, Velavan halach ligzoz es sano. Meanwhile, Lavan had gone to shear his sheep, and our rabbis point out that he is 3 days away from Yaakov, who is about to leave. And the significance of going to shear his sheep is that he is doing this as an act of celebration, and he's going to be unaware of Yaakov's plans to leave. Vatignov Rachel es hatrafim asher la'aviha. And Rachel stole the trafim that belonged to her father. Trafim appear to be these idols that Lavan had. Verse 20, Vaignov Yaakov es lev Lavan ha'arami, which literally means Yaakov stole Lavan the Aramean's heart, meaning that he deceived him. Obli higidlo ki voreahu, by not telling him that he was fleeing, that he was running away. Verse 21, Vayivrachu v'chol asher lo, he fled with all he had, Vayakam vayavor es hanahar. He arose and crossed the river, which was the Euphrates River, Vayasem es panav har hagilad, and he headed towards the Mount Gilad. Verse 22, Vayugad leLavan bayom hashlishi. Lavan was told on the 3rd day, Kivarach Yaakov, that Yaakov had fled, and that's because, as we said, he was 3 days away, which, if you remember, was the distance that Yaakov had always tried to keep from Lavan's family. Verse 23, Vayikach es echav imo, so he took his kinsman with him, Vayirdof acharav derech shivas yamin, and he pursued him for 7 days, Vayadbek oso b'har hagilad, and he caught up with him on Mount Gilad. Verse 24, Vayavo Elohim el Lavan ha'arami b'chalom halayla. That night Hashem came to Lavan the Aramean in a dream, Vayomer lo, and said to him, Hishamer lecha, beware, take care, pen tdaber im Yaakov mitov ad ra. Take care not to say anything to Yaakov for good or for bad. Verse 25, Vayaseg Lavan es Yaakov, Lavan overtook Yaakov, Yaakov taka es sahalo bahar. Yaakov had pitched his tent on the mountain, but Lavan taka es echav bahar hagilad, and Lavan had stationed his kinsman on Mount Gilad. Verse 26, Vayomer Lavan leYaakov, Lavan said to Yaakov, Me asisa, batignoves levavi. What have you done? You have deceived me. Vatnaheges benosai, shvios charev. You have carried off my daughters like captives of the sword. Verse 27, Lama nachbesa livroch vatignosi. Why have you fled so secretly? V'lo higadatali. You have not told me. V'ashalech lecha b'simcha v'shirim b'sopel v'chinor. I would have sent you off with celebration and song, with tambourines and harps. Of course, Yaakov had known that he wouldn't have sent him off like this. He would have found another way to deceive Yaakov and to steal from Yaakov, and that's why he had to flee. Verse 28, "V'lo natashtani lenashek levanai v'livnasai." You did not even let me kiss my grandchildren and daughters goodbye. Ata hiskalta aso. Now you have behaved foolishly. Verse 29, Yesh le'el yadi la'asosi machem ra. I have the power to harm you. Ve'elohei avichem emesh omar elai. But last night, your father's God spoke to me, Lemor, saying, Hishamer lecha midaber im Yaakov mitov ad ra. Take care not to say anything to Yaakov for good or for bad. Verse 30, Va'ata, and now, haloch halachta ki nichsafta leveis avicha. You have left because you longed greatly for your father's house. Lama ganavta es Elohai. But why did you steal my gods? Now Yaakov doesn't know that the gods, the Trafim, have been stolen. Verse 31, Vayan Yaakov vayomer leLavan. Yaakov answered and said to Lavan, Ki aresi, ki amarti, pentigzol es benosecha meimi. Because I was afraid, for I thought perhaps you might steal your daughters from me. Verse 32, Im asher tinsa es Elohecha lo yichyeh. With whomever you find your gods, he shall not live. And with this phrase, he sealed Rachel's fate, because even though he had no intention of cursing Rachel in this way that she should die, and even though that he had no idea that she had taken the trofim, the words of a tzaddik like this will be listened to by Hashem. And so this curse does get fulfilled because Rachel dies on their journey home after giving birth to Binyamin. A catastrophic consequence of Yaakov's words here. Neged achenu haker lecha ma'imadi v'kach. In the presence of our kinsmen, ascertain for yourself what is with me and take it back. V'lo yada Yaakov ki Rachel ganavasam. Yaakov did not know that Rachel had stolen them. Verse 33, Vayavon Lavan ba'ohel Yaakov. So Lavan went into Yaakov's tent, uva'ohel Leah, and to Leah's tent, uva'ohel shtehu amahos v'lo matzah, and into the tents of the two female maidservants, and found nothing. Vayetze me'ohel Leah, he went out from Leah's tent, vayavo ba'ohel leRachel, and entered Rachel's tent. Verse 34, Rachel lakcha satrafim. Rachel had taken these household gods, vatasimein l'cha hagamal vateshev aleihem, and she put them inside a camel cushion, and she was sitting on it. Vaymashesh Lavan es kol ha'ohel v'lo matzah. And Lavan rummaged through the tent, but found nothing. Verse 35, Vatome el aviha, she said to her father, Al yicha beinei Adoni, do not be angry, my lord, ki lo uchal lakum mipanecha. I cannot get up for you now, ki derech nashim li, for the way of women is with me now. Vaychapes v'lo matzah es hatrafim. So he searched, but did not find these household gods. Verse 36, Vayicha Yaakov, Vayarev Lavan. Then Yaakov became angry and confronted Lavan. Vayan Yaakov, Vayomer Lavan. And Yaakov spoke up and said to Lavan, Ma pishi, ma chatasi, ki dalakta acharai. What is my transgression? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? Verse 37, Ki mishashta es kol kelai, you've rummaged through all my possessions, which, by the way, our rabbis point out, was probably the true reason why Lavan wanted to catch up to Yaakov, so that he would be able to see if there was more that he could steal. Mamatzasa, and what have you found? Mikol kle beisecha, simkon neged achai ve'achecha. What have you found that belongs to your house? Mamatzasa mikol kle beisecha. What did you find that belongs to your house? Simkon neged achai ve'achecha. Set it here before my kinsman and your kinsman, v'yochichu bein shnenu, and let them decide between the two of us. Verse 38, Ze esrim shana, for these 20 years, anochi imach, I was with you, rechelecha, with your sheep, ve'izecha, and your goats, lo shikelu, they did not miscarry, ve'ele tzolecha lo achalti, not once did I eat the rams of your flock. Verse 39, Shrefa lo hevesi elecha, I never brought you an animal torn by wild beasts. Anochi achatena, I would bear the loss. Miadi tvakshena, and from my hand you would demand payment. Genufsi yom genufsi laila, whether it was stolen by day or by night. Haisi vayom achalani chorev vekerach balayla. This is how I was by day. Scorching heat consumed me, and frost by night. Vatidad shnasi meyenai. Sleep fled from my eyes. Verse 41, Ze li esrim shana b'veisecha. This is my 20 years in your household. Avadaticha arba'esrei shana b'shtei v'nesecha. I served you for 14 years for your two daughters, v'shesh shanim b'tzonecha, and 6 years for your flocks. V'tachalef es maskurti aseres monin. And 10 times you changed my wages. Or some translate this as 100 times you changed my wages. Verse 42, Lulei Elohei Avi, Elohei Avraham, Ufachad Yitzchak Hayali, had the God of my father, the God of Avraham, the fear of Yitzchak not been with me, Ki ata reikam shilachtani, you would have sent me away empty-handed. Es anyi, ve'es yegia kapai, ra'a Elohim. But Hashem saw my plight and the toil of my hands, vayochach amesh, and he rebuked you last night. Verse 43, Vayan Lavan, Vayomer el Yaakov. Then Lavan spoke up and said to Yaakov, Habanos benosai, the daughters are my daughters, Vahabanim banai, the children are my children, Vahatson soni, and the flocks are my flocks. V'chol asher ata ro'eh li hu, all that you see is mine. V'livnosai, ma e'eseh la'ele hayom, or livnehen asher yaladu. But what can I do now about my daughters, or the children they have borne? Verse 44, Va'ata, and now, Lecha nichrusa v'ris ani va'ata. Let us make a covenant, you and I, V'haya le'ed beini v'einecha, and let it be a witness between us. Verse 45, Vayikach Yaakov Aven, so Yaakov took a stone, Vayrimeha matseva, and set it up as a pillar. Verse 46, Vayomer Yaakov le'echav, and Yaakov said to his kinsmen, Liktu avanim, take stones, Vayikru avanim vayasu gam. And they took stones and they made a mound. Vayochlu sham al hagal, and there they ate by the mound. Verse 47, Vayikra lo Lavan, Yegar Sahadusa. Lavan called this place Yegar Sahadusa. Yaakov kara lo Galeed, and Yaakov called it Galeed. Lavan gave it an Aramaic name, Yaakov gave it a Hebrew name. Both mean the mound of testimony. But Yaakov was consistent about wanting to infuse things with the depth of the meaning of their Hebrew names. Verse 48, Vayomer Lavan, and Lavan said, Hagal hazeh eid beini uveinecha hayom. This mound is a witness between me and you this day. Al ken karashimo Galeed. Therefore he called its name Galeed. So in the end he too gives it this Hebrew name. Verse 49, V'hamitzpah asher amar. He also called it mitzpah because he said, Yitzef Adonai beini uveinecha. May Hashem keep watch between me and you. Ki nisaser ish meriehu, when we are out of each other's sight. Verse 50, Im taneh es benosai, if you mistreat my daughters, im tikach nashim al benosai, or take other wives beside my daughters, ein ishimanu. Even though no one else is present, Re'ei Elohim eid beinu veinecha. Remember that Hashem is the witness between me and you. Verse 51, Vayomer Lavan leYaakov. Lavan said to Yaakov, Hinei hagal hazeh, here is the mound, vehinei hamatzeva, and here is the pillar, asher yarisi beini uveinecha, that I have set up between us. Verse 52, Eid hagal hazeh, veida hamatzeva. This mound is a witness, and the pillar is a witness. Imani lo evo elecha es hagal hazeh, that I will not go past this mound on your side. Ve'imata lo so'avo elai, and you will not go past on my side. You will not go past this mound and pillar on my side with intent to do harm. Verse 53, Elohei Avraham, the God of Avraham, Ve'Elohei Nachor, and the God of Nachor, Yishpetu Veinenu Elohei Avihem, and the God of their father, may he be our judge. Vayishava Yaakov, and Yaakov swore, B'fachad Aviv Yitzchak, by the fear of his father Yitzchak. And our rabbis point out that actually the God of Nachor was still the same God as the God of Avraham, and that is why he was able to swear in this way. And finally, verse 54, Vayizbach Yaakov Zevach Bahar. Yaakov offered a sacrifice on the hill, Vaikra le'echav le'echol lechem, and he invited his kinsmen to break bread, to eat a meal, Vayochlu lechem, Vayalinu Bahar. And they ate, and they spent the night upon that hill. And interestingly, that brings us to the end of chapter 31, although it seems in the Corin Sachs version over here that they think there's 55 verses. Actually, there should be 54. This seems to be a mistake. So we will learn this verse along with the rest of chapter 32 next time. And we will read about the moment when finally Lavan and Yaakov part ways, and Yaakov continues on his journey home, where he still has to confront and reunite with Esav. That will all come up in the next chapter. I look forward to learning it with you. In the meantime, have a wonderful and meaningful day.